My name is Margaret Ellis. I am 103 years old. When I was 70 years old, my doctor sat across from me at his desk, looked at my test results, and told me that my body was simply aging and there was not much more to be done. Those were his exact words. Not much more to be done. Not much. I was still working 3 days a week. I was still cooking my own meals. I was still sharp enough to know that what he had just said was not medicine. It was surrender. He added 2 more medications to the 4 I was already taking, shook my hand, and that was the end of the conversation. 4 medications and a handshake. Every person watching this has sat in a room like that one, has been told in some form or another that what they are carrying is simply what aging looks like, and here is another prescription to manage it. The system that was supposed to protect us ran out of ideas, not just for me, for you too. What nobody in that office told either of us is what I am going to tell you today. I walked out and I made a decision, not to find a better doctor, to find what the doctors did not know. And I did, not in another waiting room, in my own kitchen, at 6 in the morning, in a habit so simple that I am almost embarrassed to tell you how long it took me to find it. I have been doing this every single morning for over 30 years. My numbers are not the numbers of a 103-year-old woman. My doctor now, not the one who gave up, he is long gone. My doctor now shows my results to his colleagues. He has asked me twice to come speak to a group of his patients. And every single time the thing I tell them is the same thing I am going to tell you today. The answer was not in his office. It was never in his office. It was in my kitchen, first thing in the morning, before I touched anything else. Keep watching, because what I have saved for the end of this, the thing I do before I even get out of bed, before the kettle goes on, before my feet hit the floor, is the part that changed my numbers more than anything else I have done. Here is what I want you to understand about that moment, the moment just before you get up. While you are still lying there, your body is in the most open, most receptive state it will be in all day. Your nervous system is at the lowest point of activation it will reach until you sleep again. What you do in that window, or what you do not do, determines whether your arteries start the day relaxed or braced. Most people throw that window away without knowing they had it. I will tell you exactly what to do with it. But first, I need to tell you something that nobody who is currently sitting behind a medical degree has time to say to you. Something that I had to learn the hard way after a doctor looked me in the eye and told me my time was basically up. After 70, your body does not decline on a straight line. It declines based on what you do in the morning. The first 60 minutes after you wake up set the entire chemical tone for the rest of the day. Your cortisol levels, your blood sugar response, the signals your body sends that either fan inflammation or hold it down. All of it is being determined while you are still in your kitchen deciding what to do first. Most people waste those 60 minutes. They reach for coffee on an empty stomach. They skip eating entirely. They eat something fast and sweet. And every morning they do this, they are pouring fuel onto a fire that they cannot feel burning. You feel nothing. You go about your day. But year after year, those mornings accumulate into inflammation, into stiffened arteries, into blood pressure that will not come down no matter how many pills you take. I know because I was living that way, and a doctor looked at the result and told me there was not much more to be done. There is. Here is what I found. The first thing, warm lemon water before anything else. Not coffee, not juice. not food. Warm water with the juice of half a lemon, drunk slowly, before your body has touched a single other thing that morning. I know what you are thinking. I thought the same thing when my neighbor first told me. I thought she had lost her mind. I had 4 medications on my counter, and she was talking to me about lemon water. I almost did not listen. I did, and then the numbers moved. Here is what is actually happening inside your body when you do this. Overnight, while you sleep, your body has been in repair mode. It has been clearing waste, managing inflammation, doing the maintenance work it cannot do while you are upright and busy. By morning, that process has produced acids and metabolic byproducts that your system needs to move out. When you drink warm lemon water first, before food, before coffee, before anything that requires your body to shift into digestion mode, you are giving your kidneys and your liver a clean flush. The warmth opens the system. The citric acid from the lemon activates bile production in the liver, which means fat digestion later in the day works better. The potassium in the lemon supports the electrical signals your heart uses to maintain a steady rhythm. And the vitamin C begins blunting the inflammatory response before your body has had a chance to ramp it up. I changed only this at first. Same medications, same food, same schedule. Only this, first thing in the morning, every single morning. Within 3 weeks, my morning blood pressure reading had dropped by 11 points. 11 points before I changed anything else. My doctor at the time had no explanation. He assumed the medications were finally stabilizing. It was the lemon water. It had been the lemon water. A woman I knew, 74 years old, started doing this after I told her. She called me 6 weeks later. She said she had not felt that clear-headed in the morning since she was 50. She was not wrong. I felt it too, and I still feel it every single morning at 1:03. Tonight, before you go to sleep, put a lemon on your counter. Tomorrow morning, before the coffee, before the food, before you sit down with your phone, half a lemon, warm water, drunk slowly. That is all. Do it for 3 weeks. Check your numbers. Then call someone you love and tell them. And I want to tell you now, before we go any further, what I am going to share with you next, because it is the thing people resist most. Not the lemon water, not even the breathing I will tell you about at the end, this next one, because it asks you to change something you have been doing your whole life and have always been told was fine. And when I tell you what it was quietly doing to your arteries every single morning for decades, you will not see a breakfast table the same way again. The second thing, never eat sugar before noon. Not fruit juice, not sweetened yogurt, not the cereal that says whole grain on the front of the box. Nothing with sugar before noon. I understand that this sounds severe. I was raised in a time when orange juice and toast were considered a healthy breakfast. That was one of the great misunderstandings of my generation. Here is what actually happens when you eat sugar first thing in the morning. Your body wakes up with cortisol already elevated. That is normal. It is what gets you out of bed. Cortisol already has your blood vessels in a slightly constricted state. When you add a blood sugar spike on top of elevated cortisol, your body releases a surge of insulin to manage it, and that insulin surge tells your blood vessels to tighten further. You are starting your day with your cardiovascular system under 2 simultaneous pressures, and you do not feel it because you are used to it. You have been doing it for years, but your arteries know. Every morning of that, year after year, is hardening something that was once soft. What I eat instead in the morning is eggs with vegetables, or oats with no added sugar, or sometimes nothing at all until my body tells me it is ready. Protein and fiber first. Always protein and fiber first. When those hit your stomach before anything else, your blood sugar rises slowly, and your body manages it without the insulin surge. Your blood vessels stay relaxed. Your cortisol comes down at a natural pace. You have given your cardiovascular system a quiet morning instead of a crisis. I have not eaten sugar before noon in over 30 years. My fasting blood sugar at 103 is in a range that my doctor calls remarkable. A retired pharmacist I knew, 68 years old, made this one change and told me 3 months later that her morning readings had been more consistent than they had been in a decade. She had changed nothing else, only this. Now I need to tell you about the third thing before I tell you about the fourth, because the third thing is what prepares the ground for the fourth to work. If you are still watching because you want to know what I do before my feet touch the floor, I understand. But do not skip this, because without this one, the last piece does only half of what it should. The third thing, ground flaxseed, 1 tablespoon every single morning. In my oats, in a small glass of water, mixed into whatever I am eating, it does not matter. 1 tablespoon, ground, every morning without fail. I have done this for over 25 years. Ground flaxseed is one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, the same omega-3 fatty acid found in walnuts, the one your cardiovascular system uses to reduce inflammation in the walls of your arteries. But flaxseed does something else that most people do not know about. It contains compounds called lignans, which your gut bacteria convert into a form that lowers the amount of cortisol moving through your blood. Lower cortisol in your bloodstream means lower baseline arterial tension. Your vessels are not braced all day. They can relax. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consumed ground flaxseed daily for 12 weeks reduced their systolic blood pressure by an average of 10 points. 10 points is not a small number. 10 points is the kind of result a doctor notices. It is the kind of result that changes a face when they see it in your file. The fiber in ground flaxseed also feeds the specific gut bacteria responsible for producing short-chain fatty acids, and those fatty acids line the interior walls of your arteries with a protective layer that makes them more resistant to the kind of damage that builds into plaque. You cannot see this happening. You feel nothing, but it is happening every morning, quietly, in the right direction, while your body does exactly what it was designed to do when you give it what it needs. I buy whole flax seeds and grind them fresh. Already ground flaxseed loses much of its nutritional value within a few days of being opened. A small coffee grinder does the job in 30 seconds. 1 tablespoon every morning. For 25 years. I am 103. A woman from my church, 77 years old, started doing this after watching me for a year. She told me at 6 weeks that her doctor had called her personally to ask what she had changed. She had told him. He had written it down. And now I will tell you the fourth thing. the one I promised at the start, the one that happens before the lemon water, before the flaxseed, before your feet touch the floor. My doctor told me, after he saw my heart rate variability numbers, that this is likely the single most important reason my cardiovascular system looks the way it does at my age. I want you to understand something before I tell you what it is. It costs nothing. It takes 4 minutes. And the only reason most people do not do it is that nobody has ever explained to them what those 4 minutes are actually doing inside their arteries while they lie there. The fourth thing, and this one costs nothing. It takes 4 minutes, and it happens before your feet touch the floor. Before I get out of bed in the morning, before the lemon water, before the flaxseed, before any of it, I lie still for 4 minutes and I do one thing. I breathe deliberately. 4 counts in through the nose. Hold for 4 counts. 6 counts out through the mouth. Over and over for 4 minutes. I do not check my phone first. I do not let my mind start running through the day. I breathe slowly and deliberately before the world gets in. Here is why this matters more than most people understand. The moment you pick up your phone in the morning, your sympathetic nervous system activates, your cortisol spikes, your blood vessels constrict, your heart rate climbs, and you have started your day in a low-grade stress response that will take hours to fully unwind, if it unwinds at all. Most people live their entire days in that state. Their bodies never get a genuine rest. Their arteries never get a genuine rest. And decade after decade, that chronic low-level activation is doing the same damage as a diet full of seed oils or a morning full of sugar. Invisible, accumulating, quietly narrowing things that need to stay open. Slow, deliberate breathing through the nose activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the direct line between your brain and your cardiovascular system. When you activate it, your heart rate drops, your blood vessels dilate, your cortisol begins to fall before you have even stood up. You are starting your day in a state of genuine physiological calm, and your arteries know the difference. My doctor measured my heart rate variability 2 years ago. Heart rate variability is one of the most accurate measures of cardiovascular health and how well your body can adapt to stress that we have. He told me my number was in the range he expects from a healthy person in their 50s. He asked me what I was doing. I told him. He wrote it down. 4 minutes. Before your feet touch the floor. Before the phone. Before the coffee. Before everything. A man I know, 80 years old, former engineer, started doing only this, nothing else from my list, only the 4 minutes, and told me at 2 months that his resting heart rate had dropped 7 beats per minute. 7. His doctor reduced one of his medications. I have done this every morning for 32 years. I was not always consistent about everything in my life, but I was faithful about my 4 minutes, and I believe across 3 decades of those mornings that it is a large part of the reason I am still here having this conversation with you. Write it down. Warm lemon water first. No sugar before noon. 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. 4 minutes of deliberate breathing before your feet touch the floor. And now I have to stop because I have just given you 4 practical, evidence-backed morning habits, and every word of it is true, and I stand behind every one of them completely. But I would not be honest with you if I stopped there, because after a long life of watching people live and watching people die, I have come to understand something that the morning habits alone cannot explain. Why do some people follow every instruction and still decline, while others, given the same diagnosis, the same risk factors, the same body, somehow come through? I spent years with that question, and what I eventually understood is this: the body reflects what lives inside it, not metaphorically, measurably. Chronic bitterness raises cortisol. Chronic resentment drives inflammation. A heart that is carrying years of unresolved grievance is a heart that is working harder than it needs to every single hour of every single day in ways that no blood pressure cuff will ever show you. The doctor who told me there was not much more to be done, I could have spent the rest of my life carrying that. I chose not to. Not because I did not feel it, I felt it completely. I chose not to carry it because I understood eventually that the weight of it lived in my body, not in his office, in mine, in my blood pressure, in my sleep, in the quality of every morning. A peaceful heart is not a passive thing. It is not resignation. It is the active daily choice to set down what you have been carrying that was never yours to carry forever. It has measurable physiological effects: lower cortisol, reduced systemic inflammation, better sleep, lower resting blood pressure. These are not metaphors. These are measurements. So here is what I want to leave you with: the full picture I promised when we started. Do the 4 things. Every single morning, do all of it. And while you are doing it, do the harder work. Let go of what you have been holding. Forgive where forgiveness has been waiting. Be kind in the moments no one is watching, the ones that feel like they do not count. They count more than you know. I am 103 years old. A doctor told me there was not much more to be done. There was 30 more years of mornings to be done. 30 more years of lemon water and flaxseed, and 4 quiet minutes before the world came in. 30 more years of choosing every single morning to tend the body and the spirit with equal care. Start tonight. Put the lemon on the counter. Set nothing else aside until you have done that one thing. Your body has been working for you every minute of your life without asking for a single thing in return. It deserves this.